Hello, everyone. I'm Al Grego, and this is the Yes, We Are Open podcast. I'm back in Ontario, but don't worry, there's still plenty of stories to tell about my trip to Winnipeg, and I apologize in advance for my voice. I'm a little under the weather. This week, I'm in Tillsonburg, Ontario, located about 50 kilometers southeast of London and a couple of hours west of Toronto. Originally the home of indigenous Iroquoian tribes, it was settled by European immigrants from Enfield, Massachusetts in 1825 and initially named Deerham Forge, as the community was built around a forge and sawmill to support the local logging and wood product industry. In 1836, it was renamed Tillsonburg after one of those original American immigrants, George Tilson. Over the convening years, Tillsonburg developed as a vibrant agricultural hub, known primarily for tobacco, which drove their economy for much of the 20th century. Half my family lives in this area and grew up working those tobacco fields. Today, its economy has diversified, focusing on sectors such as manufacturing, retail, and health services, but agriculture remains a big part of the area. It's also a welcoming community for families and tourists alike, offering a variety of recreational and cultural attractions. The town is home to beautiful parks, golf courses, and trails. Residents enjoy a close-knit community atmosphere with various events and festivals celebrating everything from art to music to agriculture. Today I'm driving in the northeast part of town along Tilson Avenue in an industrial area. I pull into 261, which is a plaza, and in the northmost corner unit of this plaza is the location of this week's story, Doorworld. That's Rebecca. We'll meet her later.
Breanne, this is Alan.
Hi, Breanne.
She introduces me to Breanne at the front desk.
Is Dave's wife. And admin +++ for doorworld.
A lot of pluses.
Yeah.
Breanne leads me back to a boardroom where I meet David and we settle in for our interview.
Hi, my name is Dave Guenther. I am owner of Doorworld. We're an overhead door company in Tillsonburg, Ontario.
When did Doorworld first start?
Doorworld started in 2019. Growing up, my dad, he would put doors in and stuff like moonlighting and kind of install doors. So when I was a little kid, I would come with him and help him. And then we would do that like on a Friday night or Saturday or whatever. And that would be kind of like spending money or whatever. And
what did your dad do for a living?
He actually worked for E&E. He does construction, kind of the same thing.
Now, throughout this story, you're going to hear the initials E&E a lot. Here's Rebecca to fill us in on who they are.
My name's Rebecca Mesquita. I am the Human Resources Manager for E&E McLaughlin.
What do they do?
They own a lot of warehouses. I always say they're the best Monopoly players I've ever met. Everything they touch turns to gold.
So they're a big employer.
Correct.
Well, our parent company, the partners in the business, needed somebody to look after some of their doors and loading docks and stuff like that in their facilities. And that was kind of where they needed to fill. And that was where we went. Their offer was, you can start your own business and we can look after some of our stuff, but you can also grow it as big as you want and we'll help you start out and that sort of thing. But, that was something I couldn't turn down.
Right.
And 5 years later, here we are.
E&E has always catered to their own tenants, so they're well-rounded. We have a maintenance crew, we have a construction crew, and then we had the Doorworld crew.
What is the relationship between Doorworld and E&E McLaughlin?
So they are a partnership. Ed and Europe McLaughlin are the E&E of E&E McLaughlin, and together with Doorworld, they're the owners of Doorworld.
I've had a little bit of experience in the door business, but before I started this, honestly, I didn't really know anything too much about this industry. So from 2019 till now, I've pretty much just had to learn it all.
You have any siblings?
I have a younger sister.
Yeah. She work for E&E as well?
No, she doesn't.
And your mom?
My mom just retired, so pretty much as long as I've known, she's been a house painter, so she painted homes and stuff like that, and she just had her own business, but she just recently retired, so hopefully she can take on some babysitting for the kids.
And Are there kids?
Yeah, we have 2 kids. So we got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and running a business. It's pretty busy.
All right, I was just about to say, because I'm doing the mental math. So when you first started the business, there were no kids.
There were no kids at the start.
Hi there, my name's Breanne Guenther, and I'm the face of the company at the front there. So I'm kind of the admin, I'm the receptionist, I'm the dispatcher, the person who does it all over here at Door World.
So you starting a business with no experience, but you were also both starting a new family. And so what was that like? Talk about 2019.
Yeah, it was a pretty hectic time. Also in that time, we were moving. So we bought a new house that year as well. So we bought the new house. Dave got this new job offer, and then we were pregnant all at the same time.
Right when our first daughter was born, I think the lockdowns might have been a few weeks after that. Right. So it was certainly a kind of an interesting time because obviously you want to keep your kids safe.
A lot of anxiety. I'm not sure what we were doing, and it was a lot of work. I was doing the invoicing at home after work because I worked full-time somewhere else. We were finding time to do all that when we could find the time, weekends, after hours.
And then COVID kind of went away a little bit. And then as soon as we had our second baby, then it kind of came back. And then it was just like, oh my goodness. And then with the challenges from the business and everything, it was a lot of late nights and early mornings and stuff like that, because I would be out working, doing repairs and installs and that sort of thing. And then at night is when I would come home and do the emails and the quoting and stuff like that. And then Breanne was kind of just doing a lot of the bookkeeping and stuff like that.
I was still doing all of the paperwork from home during mat leave as well. So we didn't have anyone else.
It was quite difficult because we had to get the kids to bed, and then we would try to get in a little bit more work after that and try to get some bills sent out and some emails fired off and all that stuff that keeps the business running.
And then after mat leave, I started working over Eni McLaughlin, our partners there, and we would just find some time to do Door World over there as well, which they were fine with because they're part of it. And then last year is when I came on full time, because we had another kid in between theirs too.
So it was just me working out of a truck and, doing repairs and installs and stuff like that. A little bit after that, I hired someone to help me out, an employee, which was quite scary at the time because, you don't want to make sure you keep people employed and make sure you have enough for them to do and, also stay profitable and all those sort of things, which was at the time very new experience. So that's what we were doing and kept doing that and kept hiring more people and more people.
How many staff do you have?
It would be a total of 8 in the company right now.
So have you always been in Tillsonburg? Is this where you grew up?
I grew up in Elmer, which is like 20 minutes down the road.
So you know the area really well?
Yeah.
When it came time to open a business or to start work, this is where you wanted to be? This is home?
This was kind of like the default location. So, this is where E&E is based out of. And this is the spot that they had. And, it was a good spot for us. So we travel around a lot. So we do a lot of driving anyway. And that's a good location. There's not too many other competitors in the marketplace.
I mentioned competitors. When you first started, how much competition was there compared to now?
Like there is competitors close by. Definitely. It's not like we just own the market or nothing like that. But I would say there hasn't been much increased competition. I think the companies that were kind of here when we started are still here. And, now we're here as well.
Well, let's talk about what the product and services that you provide at Door World.
We provide overhead door, loading dock, and garage door repairs and service. So, industrial facilities, the door goes down, we can come out typically same day and fix it. Residential homes, same thing. We can fix their garage doors. And then 2 is we offer new installation of new garage doors, replacement garage doors, industrial doors, and also dock levelers. And recently we just purchased a locksmithing company. So we have a division that does locksmithing as well. There's nobody really in our area that was doing what kind of we do in terms of the commercial maintenance and repair side of things. There's a lot of guys that would do kind of the residential new homes, that sort of thing. But there wasn't very many competitors that were kind of more commercial focused like we were. And that was kind of where we started, was kind of the commercial industrial area. And then after that, recently got more into residential. At the start, we never had a storefront. We didn't really want to have a kind of walk-in traffic and stuff like that. It was just a kind of a base.
You're doing that, so.
Yeah. Now we have a showroom and front office and staff that can handle walk-ins and stuff like that.
What would you say has been your most successful or busiest time?
Well, the busiest time was probably like the tail end of COVID. That's when we were like super busy and it was just kind of like crazy. It slowed down a little bit this last year, but I mean, we're picking up again. And it was also kind of the hardest time to get anything.
There was a lot of home improvement happening during COVID.
Yeah, certainly. And then it was also just people, I think, buying stuff just because everybody knew everything was in short supply. So it was just a lot going on then. But I mean, this year it's kind of slowed down a little bit, which I think it's kind of pretty common in the construction industry right now. But no, we've stayed busy. We haven't had to lay anybody off or anything like that. So we've stayed steady throughout.
What would you say maybe sets you apart then from your competitors?
I'd say for us, like we're really focused on the service, like repair side of things. So, you know, one of our main focuses when somebody has a repair request or they need somebody out soon is we try to work with that as best as we can. So I would say that would be one of our big differentiating factors, opposed to companies that would focus more on just doing new installs and stuff like that. We kind of try to focus on keeping the customers that we have, try to keep them as happy as we can.
Up next, David has seized an incredible opportunity to start his own door business. But with 2 kids on the way and an impending global supply chain shortage, could his timing be any worse? Stay tuned to find out. You're listening to Yes, We Are Open. In the past 5 years, David and Breanne Guenther have moved to a new house, started their family, and a new business. A tall order for most, to be sure. Now, throw in a pandemic leading to global supply chain issues, and what do you get? Well, let's find out. You've kind of already started talking about the struggle, because starting a business and a young family at the same time, going into a pandemic, which you had no idea was happening, but that must have been a tough and busy time for you, or a stressful time. At any point, did you feel like the business might have been in jeopardy?
I mean, you know, I don't even know if we were in business for a year until COVID happened. I would say the biggest struggle probably was all the material shortages that were happening. The difficult part was you try to plan, or a customer would call you and they would need something, and then you would try to plan to have their door in or whatever for a certain time, but the door wouldn't show up and you could never get a real update on anything. And it was just partial orders, and it was just really hard to get something done and checked off the list because the material shortages were so long and you just never had a real answer for anything. And then trying to deal with customers that are frustrated on the other end and, you know, calling suppliers all the time. Hey, where's this? Where's that? Something that would normally take 2 or 3 weeks to get, you know, took you 2 or 3 months to get. And if that happened, you were lucky. It could take even longer than that a lot of times. You know, springs was actually a huge thing for a while. Like,
where do they come from?
Well, we get them from a supplier that's local, but I don't know, I think there was a lot of panic buying going on, and
Right.
I think that's what everybody was doing, including me. So we've kind of stocked up on the inventory because we wanted to even have the ability to build our own doors in-house so that, you know, as the ups and downs come in the market, you know, we can fill our schedule, and also if we have an opening, instead of waiting for a door to come in, we can make it in-house and then go and install it. So, you know, trying to fill everybody's schedule and fill everybody's day and keep everybody busy, you know, that was one of the things that we try to do, and try to kind of smooth out some of the ups and downs in the supply chain.
Were you finding different suppliers or going more local?
Well, we did a lot of things. One thing, we tried to order product from different suppliers all the time, just because if one company's having a delay, maybe, you know, you got lucky and you'd still get some stuff from the other company. So I would put in orders for the same thing at 2 or 3 different suppliers, and then whoever would send it first, that's, you know,
Right.
And then we would just keep the stuff from the other ones as inventory.
just started this new business. Your second kid was on the way. How dire did things get?
Yeah, I guess like going with the COVID, another employee that just kind of started out with us, they had a baby a month apart from us.
Yeah.
So we had an employee that we weren't sure what was going on, 2 babies that we didn't want to get sick. So we were kind of just going with the flow. And thankfully we did have the backup of like Eni McLaughlin of Rebecca. And so we just followed the guidelines, but it was nerve-wracking. Work was definitely not as much business coming through, which can then be stressful because we have an employee to pay for.
Well, there were certainly other times where I was questioning during that time, especially if this was even, going to work out, because it was just such a low point, because it was just so discouraging coming to work every day because, you're trying to keep people busy. You're trying to deal with all the stuff that's going on. And then with all the shortages and trying to maintain the profitability of the company, it was a lot of, is this even worth it?
We've got more employees. We've got more people to feed, I guess. It's like, if we don't have enough work, then they don't have enough work and they've got families. Yeah, we were lucky enough that we didn't have to lay anybody off. No one got really sick. We just took all the precautions that we were supposed to, I guess.
It wasn't like we were in business for 20 years before this happened and we had a really solid foundation of stuff kind of going on. It was completely kind of a new experience. Yeah. I mean, in a normal time, it was a new experience. And then to throw this into the mix was certainly a super challenging time.
How did inflation kind of hit you guys?
Inflation in the door business was quite extreme. I would say probably from before COVID to when I was first starting to buy inventory and material and stuff like that. 2 years later, I think prices pretty much doubled on doors and stuff like that. Like, we would get a price increase from our supplier and then they would already be posting the next price increase for like 2 months or 3 months down the road. And each price increase was like 20 or 30%. So how fast they were going up was quite crazy, but people still kept buying through the whole time. So it didn't really seem to scare too many people off, just with the challenges in the whole supply chain. The steel would go up through the roof and then that cost is carried on to the supplier, to us, the dealer, and then to the consumer.
Has that slowed down now, the inflation?
Yeah, the inflation is, I would say, for the last over a year is probably the prices have kind of stabilized. At least they haven't gone up.
Yeah.
They haven't really gone down, but they haven't climbed. I don't think they will go down, but I think they've leveled off for a little bit anyway.
At what point during that would you say, like around 2022, where things maybe started looking like, oh, we're okay, we're going to do fine? When did you think you turned the corner?
Yeah, I would say probably the tail end of 2022. For some reason, the door industry really took a long time to get out of the COVID supply chain issues. But I would say kind of the tail end of 2022 and 2023 was a really busy year for us. I would say earlier this year, kind of slowed down a little bit. I kind of stick back into the office more. But fall, winter time is typically the busiest for us anyway. And now kind of seeing a bit of a ramp up coming into that season. We've only really been with Moneris maybe a year. I mean, having the machine in the trucks is a game changer because we don't invoice, especially on a residential or one-time kind of clients, we don't invoice them anymore. Right. We just collect payment when we're done, which saves a huge amount of time and effort and everything from the office, because trying to invoice every customer and then hope that you're getting paid after the job. We're quite happy with the machines and the payment processing, and it's super handy to have. So.
Coming up after the break, we find out what the future holds for Door World. Welcome back to Yes, We Are Open. David and Breanne Guenther have successfully navigated Door World through the challenges of the past 5 years. It seemed as if they have a bright future ahead. How bright? Let's find out. What would you say is the future outlook for Door World?
Well, I can't sit still. So my future is just continue growing and seizing the opportunities that come. We bought a locksmithing business last year, but if there's other opportunities that present themselves to acquire more companies maybe, or to grow this one, that's probably where I see it going. I think, in this marketplace, we're kind of almost maybe maxed out in terms of the size of the market. We certainly have room to grow here, but, I think the next step would probably be expanding into other locations and more trucks and that sort of thing. Growth is always on the radar. So
just like how we've been growing, it's awesome to see like where Dave started from, just us working at home together at night to full-time. Now there's 8 full-time employees. So I'd love to see it grow. Maybe it could go into like another city. I know Dave's always talking about maybe branching off into London to have another branch of DoorWorld would be pretty cool.
Final question. Given like what you've been able to build in the last 5 years, looking around, you got a nice big location here, and you survived the pandemic, and it's growing. You started a business with no experience of running a business. How do you feel about what you've built so far?
I don't know. My wife always says I'm never happy with anything. So to me, I always think there's always the next step. There's always something. But I guess if I would have looked at it 5 years ago, I would be quite impressed with it. But I'm certainly happy with the business and everything like that, but there's always improvements and stuff to be made. So I would say for me, looking at it 5 years in the past and to look into the future, I'd be pretty happy with it.
Feel good. I'm incredibly proud of Dave. Eni McLaughlin saw something in him that I don't know if he saw in himself, but I'm proud of him, and I believe they are too. And he's done a good thing. Going home from work and I see the DoorWorld trucks coming back to the shop, seeing them out in the field, or having friends and family and be like, oh, I saw a DoorWorld truck over at our work today. I feel proud.
We started with me and then 1 employee, and we now have 8. We're looking for more. So, certainly that was kind of the point where we've grown the most, and a lot of new jobs coming online. And as we kind of build our reputation, more people start to call us, and, the customers keep calling us back because customer service is number 1 for us.
All right, guys, is DoorWorld open?
Yes, we're open.
Perfect. That's the story of DoorWorld. If there's one thing that sets entrepreneurs apart from other people, it's got to be their ability to seize opportunity. Now, it may seem like an oversimplification, but I don't think it's something that comes naturally to most people. Either they don't see it, or they see it but figure someone else will seize it first. Or perhaps the timing isn't right, or the knowledge or experience isn't there. Entrepreneurs have the uncanny ability to act first and figure things out along the way. Take David, for instance. Sure, he had construction experience, and that experience with his dad hanging doors when he was younger, but he didn't have any previous business knowledge. He figured it out as he went along, with Breanne's help, and I'm sure his partners at E&E were helpful as well. Now, I know what you're thinking. How did I manage to get through this entire story without one bad door pun? Well, I'm not going to start now, but I will leave you with this perfect quote by the late, great Milton Berle. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. In DoorWorld's case, they're building all the doors. Yes, We Are Open is a Moneris podcast production. I'd like to thank Rebecca, Breanne, and David for taking the time to share their story. You can learn more about DoorWorld at doorworld.ca. Follow them on Facebook at DoorWorld, and on Instagram, they're at DoorWorld2. For more information about this podcast, visit our site, YesWeAreOpenPodcast.com. If you'd like to support us, rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're a Canadian small business owner or know of one with an interesting story of perseverance to tell, I'd love to help tell it. You can contact me at podcast@moneris.com. Tune in next week for another story of small business struggle and survival on the Yes, We Are Open podcast. I'm Al Grego. Thank you for listening.